This episode of What's Brewing with Humble Joe's Coffee brings us Chad Malone. Chad was born and raised in Seymour, Indiana, where he developed his love for serving people and community. He currently lives in Fishers with his wife Andrea. He has two wonderful daughters, Isabella and Miriam, but Seymour will always be his home. Malone is a well-respected international communicator and author of the book, Finding Your Passion from the Inside Out. His can-do attitude provides passion for what he loves most, which is taking individuals and teams from where they are to where they want to be. Chad's clients include Centerstone, U.S. Department of Labor, Family and Social Services Administration, churches, colleges, and universities, just to name a few. Through these partnerships, his goal is to add value in personal leadership development and confidence building. At the end of the day, Chad's desire is to take others to the next level by teaching the skills needed to be transformed from the inside out. I'm really excited to talk with my good friend, Chad Malone. Hey, welcome back, guys. We're here for our 5th episode of What's Brewing with Humble Joe's. We're with Murphy. Nice to see you again. And then special guest, Chad Malone. Chad, thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me, Justin.
Super excited. I've known Chad for 20 plus years, right?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, we grew up kind of together in youth group and learned some good qualities there at the church, and not been connected, so tightly recently, but we're pretty close growing up through high school and through college. So
Yep, playing basketball, knocking me down. Yep.
Yeah, well, you probably deserved it. You would never get out of just get out of the way, Chad. I'm going to the hole.
Hey, well, gotta protect the bucket.
So, thanks again for coming. We really appreciate it. We'll go ahead and get started here. So you kind of know what the routine is. We're going to talk about some coffee. We're going to taste some coffee. And I really want to hear about your projects and kind of what you're doing. And, you're an author, which is awesome. I've yet to get my free copy of your book. Hopefully I get one really soon in the mail.
We can make that happen.
Okay, good. But let's go ahead and get started. As far as coffee goes, what is one of your most memorable coffee experiences?
Well, Justin, there's actually a lot of coffee experiences for myself. There's a lot of times whenever I do business, sometimes being around that cup of coffee can, make or break the opportunity. But I'd say for me, probably on a personal level, the most memorable was on my very first date, with my wife. My now wife, but we went to a coffee shop and had an opportunity and just got connected, and now, almost 3 years later, we're married.
That's awesome. Do you remember what you were drinking?
Just a straight, good, black cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I don't get into all the, flavorings and things like that. I just like the...
Well, you like to appreciate the taste of the natural cup of coffee.
That's right.
I heard I'm not a coffee nerd. That's what I heard.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Well, that's good. We support nerds too, right?
Yeah.
I'm a nerd, so it's okay.
So as far as coffee goes, what would you say is the best cup of coffee, or what made it the best cup of coffee?
Probably the one I'm getting ready to try. That's what I would say. So I think I should try it, right?
That forever optimist. Looking forward to the next
That's
one.
right.
Sounds good. So we'll jump right in. We're actually drinking some Guatemalan. This is a new batch of coffee that I have. It's organic. It's single origin, of course, and I really enjoy it. It's actually about 2 weeks ago I drank it for a week straight. So it's one of my go-to everyday type of cup of coffee.
It's great. I love it. Tastes really good.
Murph, what do you think?
Yeah. I'm liking it. I'm still a light roast guy, but it's a little. It's not as fruity as a light roast, right? Like you don't get all that. You get more of a chocolate flavor.
Yeah, it kind of has a tasting notes of kind of a little bit of citrus, a little bit of milk chocolate, and then some caramel. I kind of get the caramel on the
you
end.
get caramel on the back end for sure.
It's interesting as it cools. We've talked about this. You'll be able to taste some of that a little more.
One of my favorite things is when it steams up the glasses,
Oh, okay.
especially on a cold day.
It's warm.
That's right.
So what about your daily coffee routine?
So daily coffee routine, again, I'm very busy usually when it comes the morning, and so whenever I get, my wife doesn't necessarily drink coffee, so for me it's just one of those things where wherever I can get a cup of coffee. And she is not really big on the smell and stuff like that, but me, it's what kind of gets me going for the
So
day.
like
So.
a gas station type coffee or
Oh no, I like
fast
to
food?
I like to go to the coffee shops.
Okay, all right.
What about fast food? We're not going to endorse anybody, but if you had to go get fast food, drive-through coffee, what would it be?
Probably Starbucks.
No, like fast food.
Well,
fast
oh,
food.
fast food,
Like
fast
McDonald's, Burger King. I mean,
Dunkin' Donuts, does that count? Or is that still not fast food?
I would say that's okay.
I mean, America
I would
runs
count
on
that,
Dunkin',
yeah.
so
That's true.
I guess. Right.
I think McDonald's coffee's pretty good, actually.
Wendy's. I like Wendy's
Like
coffee.
Wendy's.
It's not bad.
Murphy, what about you?
I like Burger King's coffee.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I go to Burger King is breakfast occasionally. That's it.
We actually stopped there this morning for breakfast on the way to school, but
Yeah.
luckily I had some Humble Joes. I
So
didn't
hell
have
with the
to,
coffee, but okay.
I didn't have to partake. So, you've kind of done some different things professionally, but why don't you tell us a little bit about, because I want to talk about your book and your leadership experience, and you do some public speaking, but what does your professional journey look like from, okay, I got out of high school until today and then the future?
I don't know if we've got all the time for that,
Well,
but
we have about 22 minutes, because after that, most people stop watching.
okay.
Okay.
So just real quick, for me, graduated high school from Seymour High School.
Yeah.
Go Fighting Owls. But right after high school, I went to college for the very first time. I'm actually the only one in my family right now that's got a college degree. But whenever I went to college, I actually failed out. I went to Olivet Nazarene University and really didn't know what to expect, didn't know what to do, and nobody really to coach me or teach me how to do it. So
You didn't do homework, you didn't study?
nope. And I've got a mutual friend of ours that can attest to that. So
Yeah, I'm sure that he probably would agree.
yep, Joel was my roommate. So, but it was just one of those things. I failed out, but then I knew coming back to Seymour to try to get some things figured out. I just knew that there was something more for my life than just working in a factory.
Yeah.
And nothing against factory workers, but the thing is, I just knew that in my heart there was something more for me. And so I ended up, getting that bill paid off, and then trying to go back to college again. And they didn't want me to go into student loan debt, so it was one of those things. Came back to Seymour once again, and then I ended up working on my degree. Started in 2004 and actually got finished. Graduated from Indiana Wesleyan.
Nice.
Loved it. Loved every minute of that, and it was one of those things during my second to last class. I had an opportunity to give a speech.
Yeah.
And in that speech, I had to talk about where did I come from, where am I at, where am I headed. And at the end of that, during that speech, we had to give it, like I said, 15 minutes. And I got up, I delivered mine. When I gave it, the teacher said, "Hey, we're going to take a break." And I thought, I just bombed it. But when you're up in front of people,
yeah.
15 minutes seems like 5. Or it can seem like you're up there 25.
Yeah.
And she sat down next to me and she goes, "I want to tell you a couple things." I said, "What's that?" She goes, "Well, the first thing I want to tell you, in 24 years of teaching, I've never had anybody hit 15 minutes exact until today."
Wow.
And I just knew that there was something in that for me.
Yeah.
And then she also said, because in my talk, I said that I wanted to start a training company. And she just said to me, she goes, "Chad, I think you need to start talking about transformation and not training." And so from that point, again, that was 2007. Now, starting in 2022, everybody's talking about transform this, transform that. And so it's kind of like I felt like I was a little bit ahead of the
Right.
curve. And it was just one of those things. And then, going to a Christian school, she said, "Chad, I'm going to pray that God's opened up doors for you." And in that conversation, I didn't know what that meant at that time. And what was so powerful about it, that 2 weeks later, after leaving that conversation, I got a call from the vice president of the school. And he asked me what I wanted to do with my life. And I just said to him, I said, "I want to be the next Zig Ziglar."
Yeah.
My older brother, Sean, he went with me to a Zig Ziglar event. My late friend, Jared Burbank,
Yes.
which you're familiar with, he was with us. My little brother was with us. And we'll never
I was there.
Yeah. And so it was just one of those things. It was an awesome experience, right? And so I got a hold of this guy got a hold of me, and he said, "What can I do for you?" And I just told him, I said, "I want to be the next Zig." And he goes, "You won't believe this." I said, "Lay it on me." "What?" He goes, "I actually worked for Zig back in the 1980s. And I'm like,
I got Zig tied up in the back, man. There's an opening.
yeah. And I'm just like, that's pretty cool stuff. So he got me then connected with his son that was at that time currently working for Zig.
Okay.
And so I got to sit down with Zig one-on-one, just having a conversation, and he asked me what I wanted to do with my life, and I told him, I said, well, I want to be the next you. He said, well, you can't be the next me. I'm already taken. So I just started that journey for myself of, what I wanted to do, and, I just wanted to help others, be all that they could be. So
That's very nice.
So is he a motivational speaker?
he
Zig
was.
Ziglar? Okay.
He was very popular back in the 80s, 90s.
So it's like a Tony Robbins
Early.
type thing?
Yep.
Is that, okay. I didn't want to cheapen it by asking in the middle, but I'm like, I'm going, okay, I get the context, but who is this guy? Okay, I'll have to go look him up later, yeah.
But if you do a lot of the research on Zig, a lot of these people like Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, some of these guys,
He's
Got
like their
inspiration
mentor.
for him.
he
Yeah.
contributed to a lot of their
Okay.
success.
All right, cool.
So it's pretty awesome.
Very nice. Thanks for sharing. And then, so that was 2017. When did you?
2007.
2007. Okay. When did you decide that you wanted to, write a book and create your? Is it a program or kind of like that there's these certain steps
Yeah.
for transformation that you really highlight in your teaching?
Yeah, I talk about 7 strategies to get you from here to there.
Okay.
Because everybody's got a starting point, but getting to that next step, it's just one
So
step
how long
up.
did it take you to kind of piecemeal that together? Because I know that you probably get your inspiration from others and think through the process from what you've learned from your mentors, but then, that's yours and that's your process. But when did that start and when did you have the finish product?
That's interesting that you asked that, Justin, because for me, looking back on that, it started back from probably whenever I was first walking.
Yeah.
Because a lot, some of the stuff I talk about in the book, like strategy, number one, and the reason I call them strategies is because that creates an action. Chapters are just chapters, right? But the thing is, when you have a strategy and you put action behind it, things get accomplished.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
And so, like in strategy number one, I talk about what do you value? Because a lot of people, they got these goals and they want to do these things and they've got these dreams, right? But they don't have the understanding of what they value behind that.
Yeah. And why it's important to them.
Exactly. And a lot of times people get stuck whenever you ask them what their goals are, and they'll say, well, my goal is X, Y, Z. But then you ask them what they value, and it's A, B, C. And they can't get it, they can't go any further because they don't match. And so it's one of those things, helping people to match those.
It's really curious, to talk about value. I wonder how many people, business startups would say money. They value money. Like, I want to do this because I want to earn money, but do you think that is really going to be successful in the long run?
No.
Yeah.
It
So
all
what's step
starts.
2?
It all starts with people.
Yeah.
I've got a philosophy that I teach and stuff like that, and it starts with inspire your people. Then what is that going to do? That's going to improve your productivity. And then when your productivity is increased, then guess what? That's going to increase your profit. But it's got to go in that order because that's where a lot of companies fail.
Yeah, for sure.
They've got to make that revenue, which is important, but it all starts with the people.
And for us, and that's been the biggest blessing for Humble Joe's is that, we both work full time. So we don't have a lot of pressure financially to sell, or make these partnerships or do this and do that to expand. We just do it organically as it comes because we don't need income. We have our own income. So I love not having that pressure, so that's been able to focus on building those relationships and serving others and really connecting with the community. So I think that's going to set us up just to keep growing and keep serving and having fun. And that's what it's about.
Well, the pressure's
Right.
off at that point, right?
Yeah.
Really.
Right.
Yeah.
Until I say, let's quit teaching and let's quit nursing
Yeah,
and go
then
full time. Then the pressure's
life
on.
hits hard, yeah.
Then I'm calling you for money when I can't pay rent.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I don't know where to find it.
So, very nice. When did you start the book? Year?
I'd say probably 2017-ish.
When did you publish?
It came out last year, 2022.
Very nice. So now, when did you first start writing your book?
So actually, I had an opportunity back in 2017 to teach leadership over in Africa.
Wow.
And going over there and teaching in Africa, that really kind of got my passion, going. And actually, on that airplane, I started, penciling on a napkin
Yeah.
some of the first thoughts that went along with the book and all of that. So that's pretty much where it got started, and then it got published last year in 2022. And what was so cool is 2 weeks after it got published, there was a guy over in Africa that sent me a picture and said, "Hey, I got a copy of your book."
That's
so,
awesome.
So I thought that was awesome.
Who, and this is kind of off script a little bit, who has been the biggest, who have you appreciated their feedback the most on your book?
So, wow, there's a lot of people that
No pressure.
yeah, there's a lot of people that have got a lot of good out of it. But I think for me, the greatest feedback that I have, and I believe for anybody that wants to be anything in life, they got to get a mentor.
Yeah.
Somebody that can coach them and teach them and be that sounding board for them. And, my mentor worked for Zig for 35 years.
Yeah.
So to have him, just a phone call away, it's amazing. And I count that as the best feedback that I can get on anything. Whether it's in the process of trying to make a business deal or, hey, what do you think about this chapter? How does this sound? How does this read? And him giving me that feedback constantly. That's probably the best feedback that I can get.
Very nice. What is the biggest road bump when you're writing a book? What was your biggest hurdle?
Trying to think that it had to be perfect. I'm learning in life that nobody's perfect, so therefore nobody's expecting perfect. The only one that really expects perfect is ourselves.
Yeah.
And then once we kind of come to we can grapple with that, then the rest is history. Because, again, I try now just to create an opportunity for people to grow. I don't go after perfection. And people, I think, enjoy that even more because they already know they're not perfect.
Yeah.
They just want to get better. So
We'll take a little time out from the talk. Take another swig of coffee. What do you think? Has it changed now that it's cooled? I kind of know what I taste. I'm kind of curious to see what your palate tastes with this Guatemalan.
it's good, first and foremost.
Thank you.
It's kind of got a hard taste to me.
Hard taste. What do you mean by aftertaste?
Yeah, like you can still taste it after you drink it. And I think for me, that's something that I like.
That's what you like?
Yeah.
I think that as it cools, you do get a little bit more of that bitterness in the cup.
Yeah.
Murphy, what about you?
I think I'm getting a little more of that chocolate now, but I can definitely smell the caramel.
Yeah.
Like a lot more clean.
Isn't that crazy how
Yeah.
it just changes from
Yeah.
the time that it's super hot to the time it cools off?
Oh, even
how
if you put it in
coffee
a
changes.
thermos and drink it later, you'll open it up and go, man, that's a totally different cup of coffee. Yeah. It's
Cool.
like ever evolving.
So you're a thermos drinker?
Sometimes. I mean, I've got one of these now, and they actually fit in my cup holder, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so proud. I'm so glad that it actually worked.
Yeah,
I didn't want
I
to get.
rant a lot on Instagram about
Yeah.
truck cup holders.
Yeah.
I know Sean talked a lot about my grandpa Malone, but I remember him
Yeah.
having the thermos everywhere he
Oh yeah,
went.
yeah, yeah. They're nice.
What about? Do you have any current projects you want to share?
Actually, I'm working on my second book right now. I'm co-authoring it with a buddy of mine out of Dallas, Texas, and it's called Questions and Quotes: Level Up Your Life. Because I think right now in our world today, we don't ask a lot of questions. We just we just take everything at face value. And I think it's our responsibility to ask questions. So we just took it upon ourselves to, filter through some of those questions that we ask daily. And, we put those and then some of our favorite quotes together and putting them together to give somebody a resource that can help them.
So
What-
kind of an inspirational book. Okay.
Yep.
What is one of your favorite quotes?
People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oh, let's see.
And
I read
that's-
that book. Who wrote the book?
Dr. Seuss.
No,
John Maxwell.
John Maxwell. What was the book?
Well, he's had it in a number of books, but one of them is 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
I think I've read that one.
And it's really the truth. I mean, you're in education.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the kids that you have, they really don't care who you are, but once they know that you really care about them, their grades go up and everything else, they excel in a lot of ways.
A lot of time with the kids, and we're working in leadership. It's time. You spend time with them. It shows them that you care.
Yep.
So being dedicated and showing up every day and being there for them, as far as teaching goes, and even leading, that's one of the main things to focus on.
Yep. I mean, that's one of the key principles of leadership is just showing up.
For sure. What drives you? What motivates you to keep going, and keep doing this and pursuing
I think
this?
seeing people succeed. People say, hey, I've got this goal, and then they accomplish it. It's kind of like I use this stair-step approach, Once they get to the top of that stairs, then they're looking down and like, oh my goodness, I just accomplished this. Then what's next? There's always another staircase to go up, right?
For sure.
And so it's one of those things, just watching people stand on the top of that staircase and being like, hey, I accomplished this. It's pretty awesome to see.
Murphy, I'm going to kick one over to you. What about,
Sweet.
So you spent time in the service, and we've talked about this.
Sure.
You've probably had some pretty strong leaders that you respect, I would say. What are some qualities that they have, as far as that you can see bleeding over into like business? What are some of those leadership qualities that you respect that kind of help build you who you are today?
Probably humility, right? Humbleness, right?
Yeah.
Just knowing that. Don't be afraid to admit what you don't know.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people smarter than you. I do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of doing it right now.
100%.
About 75.
Okay. Well, we do have our cameraman back there.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of that, like I said, just never being afraid to ask questions of somebody that's smarter than you in the room. I've seen that in my current situation. I've seen it, in the military. I've seen it everywhere. And you just don't want somebody that comes in and thinks they know it all running the show. It never works out well.
But it's no fun having someone lead you that way.
Yeah.
No, God no.
It's horrible.
And see, that's another reason and an inspiration of writing this book that's going to be coming out soon, is because, again, questions.
Yeah.
My mentor always says that questions are the answers. And that's how you get your answers, is asking questions. Again, you use the camera guy back there as a, illustration. But the thing is, I wouldn't know anything about editing and all of that stuff.
He's great.
But he knows what to do, right? And we all fit in
I'll find out.
all of our pieces work together.
Oh, for sure. We'll wrap it up here because I don't want to take too much of your time. But if you had to share the most interesting story over your journey, what would it be?
Interesting story. I think the most interesting story for me was, again, I'm going to use going back to Africa in 2017. Just one, being even invited to go there was a privilege all on its own. But whenever I got there, it was kind of one of those, they almost made me feel like a celebrity. It's like he gets off the plane, push him over to this side, and put me in this like green room to wait until the vehicle got there to pick me up. I mean, I was with a group, but it was just a really surreal. But what I loved about it more than anything is watching 2,000 plus people, pen, paper in hand, taking notes after everything was over, coming up and saying, hey, let's dig deeper in this. How can I take what you talked about and really do something here? Because, a lot of those individuals, they don't have the opportunities like we do here.
Oh, for sure.
We can fail here in the United States, and then we have opportunities to get back up. But some of them, they failed. They're down for a long,
Right, there's a lot more on the line,
time.
right?
Yeah. So it was really awesome to have that experience. And like I said, I mean, I'm ready to do it again.
Yeah.
I'm ready just to make it happen. So
Love it. Well, I appreciate you coming today. It's been great catching up. I know we don't see each other really as much as what we'd like to, and hearing your story and sharing your story with our viewers. And thanks for coming.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Murph,
Yes.
any last words?
No, I probably got a lot, and none of them are clean enough for YouTube.
100% agree.
Yep.
Cheers,
All right.
guys. Thanks a lot.